What is up guys, welcome to Gracias, and today we're working on our 1998 Nissan Skyline and we're gonna try to install our intercooler piping. So let's get started. All right, so in previous episodes, we installed a GTR OEM intercooler on our 98 GTT, which obviously doesn't have an RB26, it has an RB25, which has a stupid, ugly intake manifold setup. We're eventually gonna do something about that, but for now, like I kind of need the car to like work so we can move it around and stuff easier. The problem being the intercooler piping kits for an RB26 won't fit an RB25 and vice versa. So I decided to see how we could figure that out basically, but the main problem is this pipe that goes this way instead of like coming out this way. So the only kit I found that moves that pipe back around to this side is a Gracias style intercooler piping kit. And obviously we're not gonna buy an actual Gracias kit if we don't know it actually works or anything. So I found this kit on eBay and it looks pretty close. So this part goes here. One of these goes on this side. I think it's this one. So this one will go under the battery, and then we have to cut a hole under the battery for this to fit through. And then a coupler should fit those two pipes. The angle on these is the main thing that I'm not sure is gonna work or not. The main reason I wanted a GTR intercooler is because it's the most OEM fitting intercooler with the brackets and everything. It's like nice and like properly mounted. Most aftermarket kits just have some janky looking brackets and it just doesn't look like it's ported well enough, in my opinion. So I really want to use the OEM style, but the OEM RB26 piping is like way more complicated. So I think this is the closest we're gonna get. So hopefully we'll be able to chop this radius somewhere and it'll line up decently well. That's my hope anyway. So to see if that's gonna work, I need to take the whole front end off again. So let's get started doing that. I forgot if this is mounted correctly or just zip tied in place. Oh, there's a whole giant bottle thing in the way. Cool. So this kit, just like the Gracias kit, uses the OEM charge pipe from the turbo, which is kind of lame honestly, because that's like the ugliest part and it's like very visible. But this one connects up to that from the bottom. It's not looking good. This is way smaller than the factory intercooler also. Like it's a pretty big difference. Actually, I think the kit comes with reduced couplers too though. Maybe. Might already have a problem. Actually, if we shorten the middle, that looks like it might have a pretty good shot of making it. That's pretty close. Just cut like 3 or 4 inches off the middle. It might work. Okay, so we got the coupler on there, so that's one thing. It does fit. It's not easy, but it fits. Got the other end of this pipe in the charge pipe, and I think it's gonna be all right. So need to measure now what the difference between those two center points is. 5.5 inches. So basically we need to cut out the entire center section of this pipe. So whatever, let's go chop it up and see what happens. All right, so it was not 5.5 inches, but just slide a little extra piece back in there like nothing ever happened. Ta-da! It's just a little more work for John. Sorry. All right, so now for this side, we have to get rid of all that. The funnel starts up here, so Try disconnecting that first. I think we should be able to get this out of the way entirely. Yeah. Got a 10 mil over here. And one way up here. Okay, so I think there's only one bolt left on the backside over here. I should probably disconnect all this stuff first before it falls on the ground or breaks something. Ta-da! I still have some like nice clean washer fluid. I'm not sure if this is gonna leak out if I disconnect it from here.
Obviously.
Yep, that leaks. Oh, that one was already cut. Give me something to cut this with. No. Alright, so our next problem is we need to cut a hole here for the pipe to go through. So we need to figure out about where we want that centered. And based on this pipe, I guess that's about here, which is between these two holes, but closer to the bolt. Okay. Yeah. All right, and luckily it looks like we nailed that. Okay, so this one's supposed to go through here. Somehow. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's try and put a coupler on that, I guess. Okay, not too bad. This, on the other hand, does not look like it's going to be as easy as that side. So you can't really shorten this or rotate it because it needs to line up with that pipe. I guess we just start by trying to cut it where it's kind of looks like it's going to match. Okay, so we got the coupler on there, and then the piece that I cut off, I put on the bottom, and that actually looks like it might line up. So I try and cut this one to match this one, and this time let's not cut way too much off of it. So we're gonna not cut here and guess like about an inch extra. All right, so I'm gonna try that. 'Cause that way, and I should know this by now, we can cut more if we need to and not have to try and glue stuff back. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but we don't live by a train track. So it looks pretty close, but we do need to cut a little more off. All right. That's probably as good as it's gonna get. That lines up pretty good. The junction here at this coupler is not ideal, but hey, that's what couplers are for. so I think it's fine. So I think we're pretty much good to go. Now we're just gonna need John's magic to finish it up. All right, so John came by and worked his magic on these intercooler pipes that we mocked up. So we're pretty much set to just install them and tighten them up. We did end up making another cut on this pipe because, like I said, the more we adjusted the bottom portion, the more the top started getting out of line with this main pipe here. So we got this in a good location, chopped it so we could like rotate this back to line up with the main pipe. So this should be good to go. It might be a little long, so we're gonna test fit this one and see how much of a pain in the ass it is to get on when it's fully welded up. Also, this stupid power steering cooler is very much in the way. All right, so I'm gonna mark the edge of the coupler right there because we got it in a pretty good spot. It's like perfectly centered in the cutout. So that's pretty much where it's gonna be. Just gonna, because it was kind of a pain to get it in place, and the pipe keeps getting like scratched up from the edge of the cut. So I wanna try and like see if I can shorten this any. So we're Sharpie. Yeah, so that's quite a bit. That's actually going into the intercooler, so we can cut probably at least an inch off of this. So let's go trim this guy. All right, so we got about an inch trimmed off of this pipe, but that means that we lost the bead around the end of it. And those beads are super important if you wanna not explode this off the intercooler when you're doing a pull. So we need to put another bead on this. So we got this handy dandy little bead roller that I've not really used before. All right, so after fighting with that for too long, it made an okay bead. It's mostly the shape of the pipe that's kind of a pain in the ass. And if you have your vise not on the very edge of something, it also makes it kind of a pain, but better than nothing. All right, so the edge came out pretty clean from the hole saw, but we're just cleaning up any little burrs that might be there. Just got a piece of sticky 80 grit sandpaper. All right, so one quick and easy way to protect these like edges so they don't mess up the intercooler piping too much is just take a piece of random hose and split it down the middle, only on like one side, and then you can feed it around that edge and then make yourself like a little gasket basically. The hardest part of that is keeping the line straight. Yeah, so you can see now we have that hose split down the middle. Now we can feed it around the hole. So like that. Now we can feed the pipe through and not have it like vibrate as it's like driving, and it won't get all scratched up and stuff. Oh yeah, that's way better. All right, it's done. These stupid clamps. Okay, we're pretty much done. Got all the intercooler pipes nice and bolted up. They look great. They fit really good. So super happy with that. All the bolts on the clamps are different sizes, but whatever. We'll deal with that if we have to work on it. More importantly, I forgot to clean out all the pipes after we cut them and welded them and stuff before I put them back on. So I had to take them all back off and blow them through and wipe them down as much as I could. So that was great, but whatever, back together now. So let's go ahead and turn it on for the first time in freaking like a year at this point. How long has it been? I don't know, but let's give it a shot.
So long he forgot, it is right-hand drive.
The other side.
Bruh.
Feels weird just sitting in here now. Beepy noises. It doesn't sound too happy. The power steering wheel. Ugh. Hey. Remember, if you have a Nissan, don't put power steering fluid in it. It's ATF, Dextron 3. Probably says it on here. Yes, it's right on the cap. Dextron type ATF. Gonna give it a few turns to cycle the fluid around. It feels shaky, which is weird. Okay, we'll deal with that later. Missing a vacuum hose there. Yeah, that sounds better. Power steering's still weird. Not really sure what's up with that right now. Like as you're turning it, it like shakes. So the only time I've ever seen the system do that is if you hook up the rack lines backwards. But I mean, this hasn't been apart, so I'm not sure. Maybe it just needs to be bled a little more. I mean, it's been sitting for like a year, I guess. So, but all in all, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, always do your best.